Hello, my name's Brian. We come tonight to gather to talk about an evil creature called IRS. Well, did you know IRS works for Internal Revenue? Internal Revenue is a government agency. IRS is not a government agency. It's a privately owned company out of Puerto Rico. Well, we're going to show you how the laws, what you think laws are actually what the laws are really, how they taken ourselves and took us from a natural, well, let's not say natural, let's just say a man and woman, to a U.S. person, corporation, and some other entity. So tonight, we're going to go through IRS codes, UCC codes, and United States codes. And when you get done, your eyes are going to be wide open to all the corruption. Well, not so much corruption as deception. But then again, it's not that either because remember, United States, well, you don't know yet. But I'm going to show you that United States is actually a corporation, not a government. So everything they're doing is just to their people that they have working for them. Oh, wait a minute, unless we consent. Well, let's get on with it because there's a lot more to come and let's have some fun at it. All right, hang on, buckle up, here we go. So let's look at this law right now. This law says the United States is a federal corporation. What does federal mean? If you look down below, it means a treaty or an agreement. Now, let's look at corporations as itself. Up on the top left there, a legal entity that is separate and distinct from its owners. An owner. So somebody owns the United States, and I bet it's not you or I. And just below it is another corporation called Walmart. Both of them have the exact same power over us. They have no power over us unless we consent. We have to walk in or agree to their rules and regulations. Okay, let's go on to the next one. Now this may amaze you a lot. This is the location of the United States. Now we think United States is the big landmass between the two oceans and the Gulf of Mexico and the North Pole there. But really it's not. As you can read here, this is UCC, which is Universal Commercial Code, subsection 9-302, location of debtor. And you should remember that word debtor. So they're saying the debtor is United States. See, they think we're, meaning the people, are the debtors. We're not. They're the debtors. Now, where is the United States located? Oh my gosh, look at that. It's located in District of Columbia. Now let's look at District of Columbia for a moment. Well, it doesn't sound like state of, so it's not part of the Union States. It is separate from the Union States. Let me clarify that for a moment. A state of is considered a federal territory. The state itself is a union state. So just to clarify that for a moment. So now what you look at is United States is located only in the District of Columbia. You see that right up there? That little dot from all that land? Well, and again, remember, District of Columbia would be foreign to all the Union states because it is not one of the state of a federal territory or a Union state. Okay, let's move on to the next one. Okay, now this is really where we got in trouble at because we don't read things because we're too busy chasing the dollar and paying our taxes. But let's just take a moment and look at this. This is USC 31321. Now, when you read it, it says for the purpose of federal income, comma, state, comma, give tax, property accepted under paragraph 1, you can look this law up and see paragraph 1, it contains the same thing, shall be considered a gift. Wait a minute, a gift? Did you know that you were gifting your federal income tax to, what is this? United States. And do you remember earlier, what is a corporation? It is owned by somebody. And I guarantee you that you are not one of them. All right, so how do you think about that? Well, let's move on. Well, this is just one of their traps, and they do have very many traps on this. So as you can see over there, the 1040, it's a trap. Caution! Well, the reason why it's a trap is because when you first filled it out the very first time, you did not know that you were going in contract with the United States through Internal Revenue, which has Internal Revenue Service. So this is a trap. Once you did it, this is a renewable contract year after year, and we're going to show you down the road that it can be canceled. So I hope you understand that. Let's move on to the next one. This is another one of their laws that we don't know about because they only have 19,000 pages, and it took over a couple weekends to read it all. So let's just look at it for a second. This is IRS 26 or USC 266013G. And when you look at it, it says election to treat a non-resident alien individual as a resident of the United States. So what we need to do is look at this carefully. Now, what is a non-resident alien? Well, if you look at the picture to the left, you can see that's the border wall where people are coming across. This is not what IRS is talking about. IRS is talking about the picture down below that, where it's all of us. We are all considered non-resident aliens to IRS because IRS is located in District of Columbia, which is not one of the Union states or federal territory. It's a different country. Now, it also says an election under this provision shall be terminated at the earliest of the following times. So this is called a revocation, and we'll get into that in another episode. So at this point, let's go on to the next one. This is part of the petition that we do, meaning is we have a petition that we send into the United States Tax Court. When it goes through the tax court, you'll get a letter from the senior judge, and it will state something like Internal Revenue. Remember, Internal Revenue is actually a government agency, has no jurisdiction over you to tell you what taxes you owe. So when you fill this here petition out, what happens is it goes from today all the way back to when you first started. They'll go through everything. They're supposed to do two things that they never do. And because they don't do this, what happens is they lose the right to have jurisdiction. So all that is gone now. You have nothing in the back. So if you were paying them for whatever reason, that stops because they had no right in the first place. And then down the road, I'll show you how we can go back and get all that taxes back, because if they did not have the right to take and charge us taxes in the first place, then all the money that we put into it is a return, but it's actually an overpayment. All right, we'll get into that later. All right, let's go to the next one. Well, this is something you probably do not know about, and that is we have two flags. As you can see, the two flags on the left-hand side. The first flag is actually called a combat flag, and you can find that under the Army Field Manual. And what it is, this is what we wore on our right-hand shoulder when we went into combat. Now, the one on the bottom is called a peacetime flag or a merchant flag. And over the 270 years or 250 years we've been around here, this is only flown for less than 4 years. This is another cover-up they do to us. Remember, they have a lot of ways to twist everything around on us. Well, let's look at this one here. This is from GPO. It's called Nationalities. You can see the subsection. But when you look at this, this has all the different states, and every state has a nationality for their people. You can check yours. Now, the thing about nationalities is that only countries have the right to name their people. Let's look at China. You can see it's a giant landmass, and all the people in China are called Chinese, from the very top to bottom, east and west. It goes the same way with India. It's the same way. It's a large landmass, and everybody's called Indian. But let's hop over to Europe for a moment. In Europe, there's all these little squiggly lines around there, and every one of those squiggly lines have a country on them. So let's say it's Germany we're looking at. Well, those people are called Germans, and so on. Let's hop over to United States. Oh, look at that. We have all those little squiggly lines also. I bet you didn't know that every state's called a nation state, and a nation state is a country because it's synonymous. Go to United Nations website and look it up. It refers to like 200 plus nation membership, not country, nation. So if you look at here, you can see your state. And what it is your state will have a different name. I'm in Florida and we're called Floridians. You can see it right there. So this is another way they trap us because they say that we're a U.S. citizen. And do you see U.S. citizen anywhere in here? I don't. All right, let's move on. Well, here's one of these traps they do us with. Now, this is an employee withholding form, a W-4. We all fill it out if we work for somebody. Now, what is the problem with this form? Well, number one, it's a government form. You see up on the top right-hand side, it says OMB, and there's a number. Now, this is government. Now, what are you doing? You're filling this form out, and it's a government form. So are you telling IRS that you're an employee of the government? I think you are. Now, but we don't take the time to read the whole form. At the bottom up here, it says exemption from withholdings. And if you read the whole thing, the bottom there where it's highlighted is the most important. It says exempt. On your W-4, which you can't see it on this particular form, it says in the space below step 4, then that's where you're going to take and write in exempt. And when you give it to your employer, they will not take any federal income tax out of you. And think about it. If federal income tax was mandatory, there is no way that you can be exempt. But they show us always the truth. We just have to look it up and find it. All right, let's go to the next one. Well, this one's interesting. Here's 4 little videos that come off of YouTube. You can copy and paste and look at it for yourself. If you look to the left there, it says based on voluntary compliance. Well, you can see the 2 guys. And you know what? What is voluntary compliance? Well, first of all, if you don't have to pay taxes because Internal Revenue says you don't, then what are you complying against? See, this is all this trickery. So watch these videos and you can see for yourself. And there's many people tell you it's voluntary compliance. But remember, when you go to tax court, you're going to get a letter back from the tax court stating that the Commissioner of Internal Revenue has no jurisdiction. All right, now we'll go to the last one. Well, this is the last slide here. Well, I hope you're done talking to me or listening to me at least. All right, if you want this here, you can just send me an email to either this email address, first one or second one, and in your subject line, put PowerPoint. That way I can see it's PowerPoint. I get it to you quicker because I get a lot of emails. Now, you can see there, we want freedom. We want from our bondages. And look at this. The secret of happiness is freedom, and the secret of freedom is courage. Eventually, you're going to stand up and do this because you're tired of being stepped on. All right. You have a great evening, and I thank you very much for coming by, and we'll talk to you in the video.